The royal dream. The great hall of the palace was filled with music, lights, and many important aliens from across the galaxy. It was the princess's coming-of-age ceremony. She stood tall, dressed in shining silver robes, with a crystal crown resting on her dark purple hair. Her eyes were calm, but inside her heart felt strange. Princess Lyrea was known across her world for her strength and beauty. But that day, as she looked around the golden hall, her mind was somewhere else, far away in the past. Then, during Scio, the speech of the High Chancellor, her hands began to shake. She suddenly saw a memory, sharp and clear like it had just happened. A burning village. Screams. Smoke rising into the red sky. She was only a child, hiding in a broken cart, crying, afraid. Then a strange figure appeared through the fire. A young boy. Not alien, not from her world. A human. His skin was pale. His hair was dusty and brown. His clothes were torn, but his eyes were kind. He didn't run from the danger, he ran toward her. "I'll get you out," he had said. His voice was soft but strong. And he did. He had carried her through the flames, through chaos. While her own guards had abandoned her, this strange boy had held her tight and whispered, "You'll be okay." But then, blaster shots. The boy pushed her behind a wall. She saw soldiers take him away. She never saw him again. The memory ended. Lyrea stood frozen. Everyone in the hall stared at her. The Chancellor had stopped talking. "My princess, are you unwell?" he asked. She took a deep breath and looked out at the crowd. Her voice was calm but cold. "I need a moment." She walked away from the ceremony without another word. Her royal guards followed, confused. Inside her private chamber, Lyrea stood by the window and looked up at the stars. So many years had passed. She was sure he had died, but something had changed. That memory felt too real, too fresh. She hadn't remembered his face in years, yet now it was as clear as her reflection. She turned to her handmaid, a quiet alien girl with blue eyes. "Find him," the princess said. The handmaid blinked. "Your Highness?" "The human boy, the one who saved me during the Civil War. I don't know his name, I don't know where he is, but I want him found." The room fell silent. Then the handmaid slowly nodded and rushed out. In the council chambers later that day, the royal ministers whispered in confusion, "Why is she searching for a human? That child must be dead. It's a bad idea. Bring shame to the royal image." But the princess was firm. She stood before her council and declared, "He saved me when no one else did, even when he had nothing to gain. If he still lives, he deserves my thanks, my respect." The chancellor frowned. "My princess, we have enemies at our borders. Your focus must be on defense, not forgotten ghosts." Her voice was sharper now. "I do not forget those who saved me. And if none of you will help me, I'll go to the stars myself." That night news spread fast. The royal princess had paused her celebration for a human. Who was he? Why now? And most of all, what would she do if he was still alive? Lyrea stood, once again by her window watching the galaxy. "Where are you, human?" she whispered. Far away on a dry and dusty moon, a man named Cade woke from his sleep. Sweat covered his face. He had dreamed of fire, of a scared alien girl, and of the moment soldiers dragged him away. He sat up confused. He hadn't dreamed of that in years. A face in the crowd. Cade pressed a greasy wrench into the side of a rusty generator and twisted hard. The machine groaned, then purred to life. A small crowd of traitors cheered. He wiped the sweat off his brow and gave a small smile. Just another day fixing things no one else cared about. He lived on Corva 9, a dusty, forgotten moon full of broken tech and tired people. No one cared who you were here. That's what Cade liked about it. But something was bothering him today. All morning, his chest felt heavy, a strange pressure. Then came the dream again. Fire, fear, and a small alien girl with glowing blue eyes. He hadn't thought about her in years. He sat on a crate outside his repair shop staring up at the twin suns. Why now? He whispered to himself. Suddenly, he noticed something strange across the street. 3 figures dressed in shimmering black robes, out of place in the dirt-covered town. They were asking questions, showing a photo. One of them turned, their eyes locked with Cade's. A chill ran down his spine. The tallest one approached him. Name? The figure asked sharply. Cade stood. Cade Halden. Why? The stranger looked at a glowing screen, then back at him. You were present on planet Drax during the final year of the Civil War? He narrowed his eyes. I was. I helped evacuate civilians before I was taken prisoner. Why are you asking? The stranger smiled faintly. You saved someone important that day. Very important. Cade's heart skipped. Who? The Princess of Drax, Lyrea of House Sithar. Cade's breath caught. She's alive? She is, and she remembers you. Cade shook his head slowly. That's not possible. She was just a kid. I barely spoke to her. I didn't even know her name. She knew yours. She never forgot. And now, she is asking for you. Behind the stranger, a small royal shuttle landed in the center of the street. People stepped back, shocked. Royal ships never came to places like Corva 9. Cade hesitated. Look, I'm not a hero. I'm just a mechanic now. The stranger stepped closer. She doesn't care what you are now. She remembers who you were then. Cade looked at the ship. His hands trembled. The dream, the girl, the stars pulling at his soul. He took a deep breath. Okay, he said. Hours later, as the shuttle soared into space, Cade sat quietly by the window. Stars rushed past. His heart raced. One of the guards handed him a fresh robe. You'll wear this when we reach the palace. He held it in his lap, unsure. Why is she doing this? Why now? She said it was time, the guard replied. She saw your face again after many years, and her heart woke up. Cade laughed nervously. Royal hearts shouldn't wake up for people like me. But the guard just said, you saved her life. Royals do not forget that. At the palace gates, Lyrea stood tall. Her advisors begged her to stop. What if he's rude? What if he's poor? What if he embarrasses you? But she silenced them. I don't care what he is now. I remember what he was when I needed someone the most. As the ship landed and the ramp opened, the wind lifted Cade's hair. He stepped forward slowly, dressed simply, confused and unsure. And in the giant royal courtyard full of aliens, guards, and nobles, Lyrea smiled. She stepped down from the steps of her throne and walked toward him. Everyone stared. She stopped, in front of him. Her voice was soft but clear. Do you remember me? Cade blinked. He looked into her eyes, those same glowing blue eyes from long ago. Yes, he whispered. You were the little girl hiding in the cart. And you, she said, were the boy who ran through fire for a stranger. He gave a small nod. I thought you died. I thought you did. For a moment, the crowd faded away. Just the two of them stood there, time frozen. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She reached out and gently took his hand. The journey to the palace. The inside of the royal cruiser was quiet. Too quiet for Cade. He sat alone near the window, watching alien stars slip past in blurs of light. Everything felt unreal. One moment he was repairing broken fans on a desert moon. Now he was a guest on the royal ship of House Sithar. Guards in polished armor stood near the walls, silent and stiff. They didn't speak to him. They barely looked at him. But Cade could feel their judgment in the air. To them, he was just a common human. A mistake in the royal system. One of the guards finally broke the silence. You will address the princess as Your Highness. You will not touch her again. Cade frowned. I didn't mean to. She took my hand. The guard's jaw tightened, but he said no more. Cade looked down at his fingers. He could still feel her warmth from before. The memory made his chest tighten. It had been years since anyone looked at him like that with gratitude and with emotion. But this was dangerous. He wasn't from her world. He didn't belong in royal places. And yet, here he was, flying toward the most powerful palace in this part of the galaxy. The ship began its descent. Through the glass, Cade saw a floating city in the clouds, giant towers of crystal and gold, glowing softly under the 3 suns of Drax. Flying beasts circled the palace spires like birds. It looked like a dream. But as the ship landed, Cade's stomach twisted. He wasn't afraid of war. He'd seen war. He was afraid of palaces. The royal landing pad was surrounded by elite guards and nobles in long robes. Cade stepped out of the ship, squinting at the brightness. Everyone stared. Their eyes were cold. Their voices, whispers full of poison. Is that him? That's the human she remembers? He looks like a miner. He smells like a miner. Larea stepped forward again, her long cape dragging softly on the marble floor. Her voice was clear and proud. This is Cade Halden. He saved my life. He is welcome here. But the nobles were not so easily silenced. One of them, a tall male, with red horns and golden eyes, stepped forward. Your Highness, with all respect, this man is not worthy of your words. Larea's smile faded. Say that again. He's just a human. He doesn't know our customs. He brings shame to your image. What will the outer houses think when they see you standing beside a mechanic from Corva 9? Cade's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. Larea took one slow step forward. Tell me, Lord Vashel, how many people did you rescue during the Civil War? The noble looked away. She turned to the others. How many of you risked your lives for a crying child in a burning village? How many of you held the hand of someone who lost everything? No one spoke. He did, she said, and I will not let you treat him like dirt. Then she turned to Cade. Come. I will show you the place where you saved me. Inside the palace, the halls stretched wide and endless. High above, golden chandeliers floated mid-air. Beautiful music drifted softly through the marble corridors. But Cade didn't look at the ceilings or walls. His eyes were fixed on Larea. She walked beside him in silence. Then finally she spoke. You don't remember everything, do you? I remember the fire, he said. I remember the soldiers dragging me away. I thought I died. She nodded. They took you to a prison ship. We tried to find you, but the records were wiped. I thought I had imagined you. Guess I'm real, he said with a nervous smile. She stopped near a high-glass window and pointed down. That's where the cart was. That's where you found me. He looked down. The garden below was peaceful now. Green. Full of flowers. It looked nothing like the war zone from his memory. He didn't speak. The moment was too heavy. Finally, she said, I'm sorry for bringing you here so suddenly, but I had to see you with my own eyes. Why now? He asked. Why after all these years? Larea didn't answer right away. Then softly she said, Because I saw your face again. In my dreams. The same way you once found me in a nightmare, now it was my turn to find you. Far behind them, the nobles watched from the shadows. Whispers continued. If she continues with him, it could break tradition. Worse, it could start a political war. Lord Vashal narrowed his eyes. We'll see how long this human survives. The trials. Her shocking declaration, the Grand Assembly Hall of Drax had not seen such a gathering in decades. Leaders from all sectors of the galaxy filled the long rows of crystal seats. Alien nobles in bright robes, warriors in gleaming armor, diplomats with translator drones buzzing at their sides. All came for one reason. The princess had summoned them. Rumors had already spread like wildfire. She found the human. She brought him here. She walks beside him. The golden doors opened. Everyone turned. Princess Lyrea entered first, calm and graceful. Her crown shimmered under the twin suns shining through the ceiling glass. Then came the moment. Behind her walked Cade. He wore formal robes now, simple but clean. He looked nothing like the other guests, and yet he walked with quiet confidence. Eyes burned into him. But he didn't flinch. The room whispered, hissed, and hummed with questions. A human? That cannot be the one. Is she mad? The royal announcer stepped forward. By order of Her Highness, the House of Sci, calls this council to attention. A royal declaration is to be made. Lyrea raised her hand, and silence fell like a curtain. She stepped up to the central podium and looked around at the sea of alien faces. There is a story few of you know, she began. When I was a child, our world was torn by war. My own. Guards abandoned me, I ran, I hid, I cried, her voice didn't tremble. And then a stranger came. Not of our blood, not of our empire. He had no weapon, no armor. But he carried me through fire. Gasps filled the room. Some recognized the tale. None had ever known the truth. That stranger, she said, was a human. She turned to look at Cade. And that human stands with us today. The whispers turned to murmurs. Shock rippled across the nobles. Lord Vashal rose, eyes wide. Your Highness, this tale is touching, but why bring it here? Lyrea looked directly at him. Because I have made a choice. Everyone leaned forward. Her voice rang louder now. Strong. Unshakable. I choose Cade Halden, the human who saved my life, as my royal protector. The hall exploded in noise. Some nobles stood and shouted. Others whispered in disbelief. One counselor fainted. A protector. It was one of the highest titles. It meant trust, honor, and constant presence at the princess's side. No alien outsider has ever held that title, someone shouted. He has no royal blood. He is not even from this galaxy. The chancellor stood quickly. Your Highness, I must advise against this. He has not been trained. He has no status. The people will question your mind. Lyrea stepped down from the podium. Then let them question. My decision is final. She turned to face the crowd again. This man risked his life for mine with no reward. He showed honor without duty. And now you ask if he's worthy of title? He was more noble as a boy in fire than most of you with crowns on your heads. Lord Vashal's voice was sharp now. Then let him prove it. Let him pass the trials. Only then can he wear the symbol of the crown. Cade stepped forward slowly. What are the trials? Lyrea looked at him, eyes filled with both pride and concern. They are dangerous. Few survive. I'm not a noble, he said softly, but I'm not afraid. I didn't save you for a reward back then. But if I have to walk through, fire again to stand beside you now, I will. The room went completely silent. Lyrea smiled. Then let the galaxy watch, she said. Later, in the royal gardens, under the silver moonlight, Lyrea and Cade walked alone. You didn't have to. Agree, she said quietly. He shrugged. They wouldn't respect me unless I did. I get it. You might not survive. I've survived worse, he said with a smirk. Then he paused. Do you really trust me with your life? She looked at him. No, I trust you with my heart. Cade blinked. That's a lot heavier. She laughed softly. Good. You need to train your strength for what's coming. Behind closed doors, counselors and nobles began whispering again. Let the trials kill him. Even if he survives, the people will never accept him. We'll find another way to break them apart. But in the stars above, fate had already decided something stronger than politics or pride. A human heart and a royal vow would shake the galaxy. The test of loyalty. The trial grounds of House Scythar were not made for mercy. They were carved into the side of a dead moon far from the comfort of the palace. Inside the arena, the air was thin, the walls dark, and the silence heavy. This place had seen blood, screams, and broken pride for generations. And now, it would see a human. Cade stood in the center of the arena, wearing simple armor, too light for battle, too heavy for running. His breath fogged in the cold air. Above him, thousands of alien eyes watched from the viewing platform. Nobles, warriors, lords. Most waited to see him fail. A voice echoed across the arena. Let the trial of fire, flesh, and mind begin. Lyrea sat at the front of the viewing box, her hands clenched tight. She had begged the council to spare him from this, but they had insisted. If he is to stand at your side, he must earn it through our laws, they said. She hated it, but she had seen his strength before, and believed in it again. Trial 1. Fire, a ring of fuel burst into flames around Cade. He shielded his face, blinking fast. From the walls, mechanical drones appeared, spitting heat, fireballs, and smoke. The challenge was simple. Survive 10 minutes without getting burned. Simple. For a creature that wasn't human. Cade ducked low, rolled, and used scraps of metal from the floor to shield himself. The heat was unbearable. His skin stung. But he didn't fall. He used the wreckage to build a wall, then stayed behind it, catching his breath. As the final fire burst past, a loud gong sounded. He stood, sweat dripping, eyes sharp. The crowd didn't cheer, but they noticed. Trial 2. Flesh. The next gate opened. From the darkness came a beast. It had 6 legs, jaws like steel, and glowing red eyes. A Drelgor hound, a monster used only in royal trials. The crowd leaned forward. Cade didn't move. The beast growled, then charged. Cade didn't run. He waited. The last second he slid to the side, grabbing a chain from the wall. The beast turned fast, too fast. It bit into his side, tearing through the armor. Blood poured. Cade screamed, but didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed a shard of bone from the floor and jammed it into the beast's eye. The creature roared and stumbled. He used the chain to choke it, until it dropped. Silence. Then the second gong. Cade fell to one knee, panting, bleeding, but alive. Trial 3. Mind. The lights changed. A humming filled the arena. This time no gate opened. No monster came. Instead, a strange mist poured from above, covering the ground. Cade coughed, confused. His vision blurred. He was still standing, in the arena, but now he saw something else. The burning village, the fire, the girl crying, soldiers yelling. But this time, he didn't save her. He froze. He ran. He saw her die. No, he shouted, shaking his head. It was all a lie, but it felt real. The mist whispered in his ears. You failed her. You always will. He dropped to his knees, gripping his head. From the royal box, Lyrea watched in horror. It's too much, she whispered. But deep down, she knew. This was the hardest test. It was not about strength. It was about pain, memory, regret, and then, through the mist, Cade heard something else. Her voice. The real one. Don't leave me again. His hands stopped shaking. He stood slowly, breathing hard. No, he said out loud. Not this time. The mist faded. He was still in the arena, alone, on his feet. The final gong sounded. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the Chancellor stood and announced, The human has completed the trials of Sithar. He has not failed. Gasps, disbelief, even a few scattered claps. Lyrea rose and walked to the edge of the platform. Her voice was clear. Let it be known. He did not fight for glory. He did not fight for title. He fought for me. She stepped down into the arena. Cade looked up, bloodied, bruised, barely standing. She didn't care. She stood in front of him, took his hand and said, Now, you fight beside me. The enemies within. The palace looked peaceful under the pale moons of Drax, but shadows moved where light did not reach. Servants walked quietly. Guards stood tall. But behind closed doors, voices whispered, cold, sharp, and angry. The human. Pass the trials, Lord Vashal hissed, his golden eyes glowing. That doesn't make him one of us. He has the princess's favor, another noble said. If we strike now, it could start a civil war. Lord Vashal slammed his fist against the table. She's blinded by a childhood memory, but memories fade. A quiet death does not. Silence followed. Then, a soft voice replied from the shadows. Then let it be quiet. Cade didn't feel like a hero. He lay in a royal medical chamber, bandages covering his ribs. His arm was stitched, his back sore. But his spirit was alive. Larea sat beside him, holding a warm cloth to his forehead. You passed all 3 trials, she said softly. Even the mind test. He opened one eye and smiled weakly. Almost didn't. That illusion was cruel. She nodded. They wanted to break you. Well, they failed. She paused, brushing hair from his face. They won't stop, Cade, you know that. I know. They'll come for you, maybe for both of us. I'm ready. She looked at him for a long time. You should rest. But outside the chamber, someone watched through a security feed. A gloved hand pressed a button. A silent message was sent. That night, Larea was called away for an emergency meeting. Cade, still sore but able to walk, decided to stretch his legs. The palace was quiet, too quiet. Then he heard a sound, metal on marble, a scraping footstep, a whisper. He turned a corner and froze. A cloaked figure stood at the far end of the hallway, half hidden in shadow. Can I help you? Cade asked. The figure didn't move. Cade took a step forward. Palace is off limits at night unless you're... The figure lunged. Too fast. A blade flashed. Cade dodged. Barely. The knife sliced his arm. He grabbed a statue from the wall and swung it. The attacker fell back, then ran. Cade didn't chase. Blood dripped from his elbow. He looked around. No guards. No cameras. He was meant to be alone. In the council chamber, Larea stood in front of the nobles. Someone tried to harm my protector tonight. Gasps. Lord Vashal stood. That's a serious claim. Do you have proof? Larea's eyes narrowed. I will. She stormed out, robe trailing like a storm cloud. Back in her chamber, Cade sat on a couch while a healer treated his wound. I've been here a week and already got stabbed, he muttered. Impressive. Larea entered, her face pale with rage. This wasn't random. I know, he said. Someone inside wants you gone. Someone powerful. Cade looked at her. So what happens now? Her answer was cold. We stopped playing nice. The next day, an announcement was made. A royal celebration. In honor of Cade Halden, protector of the crown. The nobles were furious. But they smiled. They bowed. They toasted. Cade stood by Larea's side, dressed in new robes, his wounds still fresh. But his eyes never left the crowd. He watched every movement, every glance, every twitch. And in one corner of the hall he saw a pair of golden eyes watching him back. Lord Vashal raised a glass. To peace between species, he said with a smirk. Cade raised his back. To truth, however sharp it may be. Later that night, as the guests left, Cade whispered to Larea, he's planning something. I know, she replied. But he made one mistake. What's that? He thinks you're still just a mechanic from Corva 9. Cade grinned. And I think I'm done hiding. Far above the palace, in a private sky station, Lord Vashal met with mercenaries, spies, and traitors. He spoke one sentence that echoed through the stars. If she won't give up the human, then we take the crown from her head. A love that changed the stars. The throne room of House Scythar had never seen war. But tonight, it waited for it. The giant marble floor shimmered under the pale lights of Drax's 3 moons. Empty now, quiet, but thick with tension, as if the room itself knew something was about to break. Outside the palace, armed ships circled. Inside, royal guards stood on high alert. Even servants wore armor under their robes. Fear had a shape now, and it wore a name. Lord Vashal. After the failed attempt on Cade's life, Vashal vanished. No messages, no public words. But then came the broadcast, loud, direct, and terrifying. Princess Lyrea no longer rules by the will of the council. She is controlled by an outsider, a human. She has broken tradition, shamed our blood, and will answer for it. The people of Drax will soon see the truth. That message was played across every screen on the planet. Lyrea stood at the edge of her war room, staring at a glowing star map. "Cade," she said without turning, "if you leave now, they won't follow you. They only want me." Cade walked closer. "Then they've already lost." She turned. "You don't have to prove anything else. You saved me once. You survived the trials. I won't ask you to risk your life again." He looked into her eyes. "Quiet for a moment? You're not asking." "What?" "You're warning me. Because you care." She looked down. He stepped closer, his voice soft. "Lyrea, I don't stay because I owe you something. I stay because I chose you." She met his gaze. "Then you'll stand beside me, even if the palace falls?" He nodded. She exhaled. "Then let's show them what love looks like, when it fights back." The siege began at sunrise. Lord Vashal's forces, dressed in stolen royal armor, broke through the outer gates using drones and traitors on the inside. The skies darkened with fighters. Energy shields cracked under fire. But the palace did not fall easily. Lyrea led her guards from the front. She didn't hide behind walls. Her armor shimmered like starlight, her blade like flame. The people of Drax, watching from their homes, saw their princess fight like the ancestors of legend, and beside her, Cade. He fought without alien powers, no genetic enhancements, just a spear, a pulse rifle, and courage that refused to break. When the inner gates fell, Vashal entered with his personal strike team. He expected fear. He found fury. Inside the throne room, the final battle began. "Stand down, Lyrea," Vashal shouted. "You've lost." "You never understood what losing means," she answered. Cade stood between them, his arm bleeding, face bruised. Vashal raised his blade. "You think love will save you, human?" "No," Cade said. "But it gave me a reason to fight harder than anyone who fights for power." They clashed, alien steel against human grit. Cade dodged faster than expected. He moved like someone who had survived pain before. Every hit he took, he gave back twice. Vashal sneered. "You don't belong here." Cade drove his knee into Vashal's gut. "That's funny, because I'm the only one who wasn't born into power, and I'm still standing." Vashal roared, throwing Cade across the floor. Lyrea stepped in, her sword blocking the next strike. "You want the throne?" she hissed. "Then take it from me." The duel lit the chamber like lightning. She fought for more than her crown. She fought for every voice that had ever been ignored, for every life saved by kindness, not bloodline. Together, she and Cade overwhelmed Vashal. With one final strike, Cade drove the spear into Vashal's shoulder while Lyrea disarmed him. He fell defeated, but Cade didn't kill him. Instead, he stepped back. "Let the galaxy see who he really is," he said. "A man beaten by the same human he once called unworthy." The palace fell quiet again. Smoke drifted. The air tasted like electricity. But it was over. The coup failed. Lyrea turned to the cameras now watching across the empire. Her voice was calm. "My people," she began. "Today you saw a lie try to take our future. But we stood together, not as alien and human, but as those who believe in something better." She held Cade's hand. "This man saved me when I was a girl, and now he has saved us all, not with royal blood, but with loyalty, love, and sacrifice." There was silence across the galaxy. Then, voices, cheers, applause, cries of support. One by one allied planet sent messages. "We support the princess. We honor the protector. Let Drax stand, with her and with him." In the weeks that followed, things changed fast. Larea formed a new council, half alien, half outsider. For the first time, humans were invited to Drax as honored guests. Cade received a medal, a title, and a private chamber in the palace. But the greatest honor came quietly, in the garden beneath the window where Larea once remembered him. She stood beside him in simple clothes, no crown, no guards. "You know," she said, "this garden is where you saved me twice now." Cade smiled. "And you saved me by remembering." She looked at him, eyes soft. "Do you regret anything?" He shook his head. "Not a second." Then, without a crowd, without an announcement, she reached out, took his hand again, and kissed him. No camera captured it, but across the galaxy, people already told the story. A human once ran through fire to save a forgotten girl. Years later, she lit the stars just to bring him home. Together, they didn't just change the future. They changed what the galaxy believed was possible.